Lila's sneakers crunched on the gravel path as she crept into Grandma Moira's garden. Moonlight painted the rows of vegetables silver, and the air smelled of damp soil and secrets. She'd always hated the noisy chaos of daylight, but here, under the stars, she felt brave enough to whisper, "Hello?" No one answered, except a fat, glowing carrot. It pulsed faintly, as if breathing. Lila crouched, brushing dirt from its orange shoulders. Without thinking, she tugged it free and bit. The world tilted. Her legs coiled like springs, and with a yelp, she shot 10 feet into the air. She hovered for a heartbeat, giggling, before thumping back down. Magic carrots? Found my little moonlight snack, did you? Grandma Moira stood in the garden gate, her floppy sun hat casting owl-like shadows. Best not eat the tomatoes before bedtime, they'll have you breathing fire. Over the next week, Lila learned the rules. Moonlight-grown veggies gave powers, but only until sunrise. Spinach leaves turned her arms strong enough to lift the rusty wheelbarrow. Peas made her feet sticky for climbing trees. But the tomatoes, those were Lila's favorite. After nibbling one, she could stick her hand into the cottage fireplace and laugh as flames licked her unburned skin. "Why don't we sell these?" Lila asked one night, juggling radiant potatoes. They turned her invisible for 30 seconds. Grandma's smile faded. "Magic's not for profit, love. It's for..." Slam! The garden gate flew open. A man in a pinstripe suit stood there, his nose twitching like a rat's. "Moira Harlow! I knew your award-winning heirloom veggies were a scam." Lila recognized him, Chef Bramble, owner of the fancy restaurant in town. He'd yelled at Grandma last month for refusing to supply his kitchen. Now he glared at the glowing carrots. "You've been hiding enchanted ingredients. Imagine what I could charge for miraculous minestrone." Grandma stepped forward, but Lila saw her wobble. Her bad hip always acted up at night. "Get off our land," Grandma said. Bramble smirked. "Or what, you'll throw a zucchini at me?" He snatched a fistful of shimmering lettuce. "This garden's mine by dawn." Lila barely slept. By morning, Chef Bramble had plastered the town with flyers. "Moira's magic produce, coming soon. Cures baldness, guaranteed." Crowds gathered, demanding veggies. Grandma's phone rang nonstop. "We can't fight him," Grandma sighed at sunset. Kneading dough for the lavender scones Lila loved. "He'll just steal the plants." But the magic only works if harvested under moonlight, Lila realized. And Bramble didn't know the rules. She crept into the garden, heart racing. If she could outsmart him until sunrise, the veggies would turn ordinary. But how? A firefly buzzed past, and Lila grinned. At midnight, Bramble returned with burlap sacks and a greedy grin. But the garden looked different. Glowing vines now twisted into archways, and vegetables hung from strings like Christmas ornaments. Riddle 1, read a sign nailed to the gate. "I'm light as air, but lock you in place. Eat me to climb any surface or space." "What am I?" Bramble scowled. "A ladder? A spider?" "Wrong," Lila whispered from the shadows. She'd painted herself invisible with potato juice. "It's a pea." She yanked a string, releasing a sack of pea pods over Bramble's head. He shrieked as his shoes glued to the soil. Riddle 2 waited at the cucumber patch. "I burn but don't scorch, I'm hot but don't cook. Eat me to walk through fire unhooked." A tomato," Bramble guessed, limping forward. He'd escaped the peas by cutting off his shoes. He grabbed a tomato and bit into it. Lila leapt from behind the compost bin, now visible but grinning. "Right, but tomatoes only protect you from fire, not your clothes." She struck a match and tossed it at his suit sleeve. "Ah!" Bramble dove into the duck pond. Riddle 3 glowed on the carrot row. "I'll bounce you high if you dare take a bite, but beware the sunrise or you'll lose your flight." Bramble, now shoeless, soaking wet and furious, screamed, "A carrot, obviously." He ripped one from the soil and devoured it. His legs quivered, coiling. Lila sprinted to the garden's edge. "Catch me if you can!" Bramble boing jumped after her, soaring over fences. But Lila had lured him to the old clock tower. She scrambled up its stones, thanks to pea-sticky hands, and hung a final sign, "Sunrise in 60 seconds." Bramble landed on the roof, panting. "Give me the garden, kid." "Okay," Lila said, "but first catch." She threw a carrot. He lunged, biting it midair, just as the first sunbeam crested the hills. His legs unspronged. "No!" Bramble plummeted into the town's recycling bin. At breakfast, Grandma Moira listened to Lila's tale while spreading honey on scones. "You used the magic and your cleverness. Proud of you, Moonlight Girl." Lila blushed. "What if Bramble comes back?" Grandma winked. I've got a plan. Ever heard of ghost pepper seedlings? They laughed as sunlight warmed the garden. It's Veggies ordinary again. Until next moonrise. The end. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.